Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankara Sharya Madhyamam Asmadasharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyom Abda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Tava Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmaham Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Good day, everyone. We are looking at the summary of the chapter 3. We have seen Swami structures the chapter 3, presents the verse and the topic, negation of origination of the Jiva and Jagata was presented, negation and origination of Ishwara, of I think it was the first topic. Let me see here, the first topic. No, the first two topics, what the logical negation in regards to the origination of Jiva and the world. The first topic was just an introduction of the meaning of the word Advaitam. And then from the negation, logical negation, we went to a scripture negation. We have seen that. And then the following topic was, it was titled as cessation of the mind, but I think it would be more to the point to say objectification of the mind. The ability to see the mind as mithya. It's a mithya mind. And in its, of course, the mind has two aspects to itself, as we know. One is consciousness and the other thoughts. So the thought aspect is what can be objectified by our true nature as consciousness. Objectification or cessation of the mind was seen. We should see the mind as part of the world. The mind is an object of experience. The mind fluctuates, changes. It appears and disappears depending on the conditions of better said, the states. The mind is made out of subtle energy, subtle matter or elements. The mind has attributes, we have no doubt about that. And as we know, our true nature, my true nature, your true nature is attributeless. There is nothing to it that could say, this is it. The mind disappears in deep sleep and appears in the wake. If the mind is not objectively seen or negated as mithya, you will continue to confuse yourself with the mind, consciousness with the mind. And you will be caught up as a samsari in this mithya world. If you are going to judge yourself from the conditions of the mind, good luck. Because you will find from moment to moment a change in mind, and you will be confused about what defines yourself as I. How are you going to define yourself based on something that's changing all the time? You always feel that you are not progressing because you mistake yourself to be the limited mind. Mind is part of this mithya apparent reality. It will always be fluctuating, and it will happen. It will experience ups and downs, moments of clarities and moments of less clarity. In other words, the mind is configured, composed, formed by the three energies, the three gunas. Sometimes it's more sattvic, sometimes there is a little bit more tamoguna, some other times there is more rajoguna. Its proportions are always fluctuating. So we need to make an effort by doing sadhanas to develop more sattva guna, knowing that the purpose is not to develop a 100% sattvic mind, because that is the mind of God and God alone. But we need to have a little bit more clarity to understand the true nature of the mind as consciousness. Once you understand that, the mind is going to fluctuate less. That's all there is. You understand? It's going to remain more sattvic, more clear, more focused. Why? Because it's not under the avidya power of Maya, which makes the mind attracted by things and repulsive against other things, and that creates great disturbance and compromise clarity and focus and many other aspects of our human mind. But the mind is always going to be fluctuating. It's part of the changing world, the changing mind. This needs to be clearly and firmly understood. Otherwise, after Vedanta study, I will still tend to look at myself as the mind. When the mind goes through ups and downs, I will say, I'm having a hard time. I should never say that. The mind, which is a mithya mind, which is not originated at all and not existent, but appears along with the world, that apparent mind has got its parabada. And now he brings the topic of parabada as well. The mind has its parabada, has its registered parabada manifesting. The parabada alone is going to make the mind change. That alone is going to keep unfolding past fructification of actions, which is going to impact the mind, causing oscillation. If you go for Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and then, okay, you're going to paralyze parabada, and then the mind is not going to be experiencing any parabada, and it's not be reacting to it. And the reaction is mental change, mental fluctuation, according to the condition of our parabada. So on top of everything, there is parabada affecting the mind from moment to moment. Yeah, I'm not in full control of the mind. I'm not the mind. I don't have really control of the mind. Parabada ultimately is having a big chunk of power over my mental states. The mind is temporarily used as an instrument for transaction. Therefore, I will try to keep it as fit as possible for smooth transaction. But I will never identify myself with the mind, nor will I claim ownership of the mind, and nor I will I claim full control of the mind. I am the Atma, the Asanga Atma, which is independent and free from the mind and the world. This is the toughest part of Vedanta, detaching yourself from identification with the mind as the mind. I have talked about Pancha Anatma, detachment from all the 5 koshas, the 5 levels of human experience, in increasing scale of stronger attachment to namely possessions, profession, relationships, and mind, and so on. Gaudapada says that you have to detach also from your mind, of course. Reduce mind to what it is. It's a mithya mind. The mind is nothing but Brahman with superimposition of Namarupa, very simple. Now, Brahman plus Namarupa, now you have Ishvara, Jiva, and Jagat. How do we detach from the mind? This is one only by understanding, not by yoga. By yoga, you can suppress the mind, you can stop the mind, but only by knowledge you will learn to identify with consciousness rather than the mind, right? By knowing the truths behind the mind, you're going to, correctly identify yourself with your higher nature, negating the mind as your true nature, but just putting it in its place as an instrument, which unfortunately it changes and fluctuates because it's integral part of the media, but still with this changing instrument, you interact with a changing world. Only the help of the scripture would allow us to get the truth about reality here. When you hold the pot in your hand, you can negate the pot by knowledge. But knowledge, by knowing that the pot is nothing but a namarupa. All there is clay. Similarly, the mind is useful, but there is no substance called mind. The substance is Brahman, the true nature is Brahman, the only reality. This is very important topic, and we have seen it between 31st and 39th verse. Amani Bhavaha, which is objectifying the mind, seizing the mind as it's put in here, cessation of the mind, putting the mind in its place. And this is, we touch an interesting subject here, which is, we have only an instrument of knowledge, which is the mind, our primary instrument of knowledge and experience. And we experience what? We experience the changing world, the changing subtle and physical world, and we are using the mind. So unfortunately, the mind changes as well. So when the mind changes, every time you access the status of the world, you're going to have a different assessment. You understand? Because you have a changing principle accessing a changing phenomenon. No? So we need to develop more sattva, mental sattva guna in the mind, so that the mind becomes more stable, much more focused, and less changing from moment to moment, so that we can have a proper assessment with the help of the scriptures and a good teacher. So it's not easy. It's not easy, but you access change with a changing instrument, And the scripture is going to present us things as they are. But it's very hard for us to trust scriptures to such a degree that we get this direct self-knowledge. So if it was just a question of blind faith, everybody in contact with the scriptures would get moksha. So the intellect has to be satisfied. And the intellect needs to be satisfied through Shravana and Manana. And the intellect changing from moment to moment remains an obstacle, because it's never going to develop that certainty and Shraddha, trust, and it will never convert those bits and pieces of information into fact. So therefore, with the mind associated with the scripture, the mind association with Ishvara in his Saguna nature and Nirguna nature, with the full teachings as revealed by the scriptures with the help of a guru, that mind and that mind alone will be able to develop enough clarity or purity or refinement or whatever we say to see things as they are stated by the scripture. There's no way, the Shraddha we get into the scripture, the true Shraddha, the full confidence and trust is only possible once we get this hard and fast, so doubtless self-knowledge. And then we really say, oh my God, I have to take out my head, because the scripture was right from the day number one. All my doubts were removed. I got the knowledge, I got the understanding, it's transformed my life and so on. So that's why we need to go through Karma Yoga, Dharma Yoga, Vipassana Yoga before entering Shravana and Manana, because the mind has to develop more Sattva Guna to change the least possible, at least during those periods of times we call Shravana and Manana. No, the mind is changing during the day. I'm interacting, but when I go into my room and I'm going to do my Vedanta Shravana or Manana, I have to take care of my mind, and bring forth as much clarity and and so on, and then I can get this aparoksha yana. I used to say in the past when I began unfolding or sharing these teachings of Vedanta, that self-knowledge would happen in a moment of how I used to put it, in a moment of extreme sattva guna. A mind in a certain moment, the mind becomes so clear. In that moment, the knowledge clicks, poof, because the mind is really clear in that moment, and then it see the way the scriptures suggest us to see. You understand? And then once things are seen, the mind saw it, understood it, the moment of came. And then there is always that suspicion. And how about if doubt comes in again? If doubt comes in again, it's a problem. I was very afraid that doubts would come back again. But if you have a good ground of sattva guna, of purification, of conversion, of raja guna into sattva guna, and then that will allow the knowledge to be held, okay, and grow until it becomes a doubtless self-knowledge. The toughest part of Vedanta is detaching the mind, yourself, from the notion I am the mind. Detachment from all the 5 anatmas. Gaudapada says that you have to detach from your mind. Reduce mind to a meteor mind. Okay. Only by knowing your true nature, quote unquote, behind or beyond the mind, you will be able to see the mind objectively and understand that the mind has crossed the line, and it is on the mithya side of the fence.
Arlindo, I've been listening. Swami Paramarthananda is on vacation, summer vacation right now, but he's posted Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta, Sarasagara, Sangara, and it's incredible how this, just talking about Shravana, there are 18 different virtues that he goes through in detail about, well, Shankara does, and he tells us all these virtues just to get the mind in shape. It's the depth and thoroughness of the understanding of the human being is just incredible in this scripture. It's just beautiful.
Can you please do me a favor and share that text, that link of the text with us in our group?
It's in audio, but he has the text of the verses, but of course, he doesn't the word for word.
How did you get this audio? Can you share it with us, or you would have to do it physically?
No, it's on Yoga Malika.
Okay, send me the link, please.
Yes, sir, will do. I'll put it in the Snapchat.
Yeah. And the transcription, if there is a transcription as well, I would love it to take a look.
I would love it too. I'll look for that, but maybe there is. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Sometimes the people who transcribe, instead of giving the IAST of the Sanskrit words, they just write the Sanskrit. So it's not quite as helpful in transcription. I think that was the problem with this one for me. But I'll send the link.
Yeah, please.
They are beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It's sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, really is what it is.
Wonderful. I will be very excited to take a look
Yeah.
and be consider it for next class, in Portuguese or in English. Okay. Only by knowledge. What knowledge? By knowing that you are the true nature of this universe, the true substance. You are Brahman and everything else. Nama Rupas superimposed on you. Now, the last topic, I believe, is Nididhyasana. And he says here, nope. The last topic is Nididhyasana, Jesus stuff management, Nididhyasana, tough management. If we do not know how to handle what is called involuntary thoughts, they will hijack the mind. A mind hijacked by mental chattering is not available for Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, much less for claiming Aham Brahmasmi, and much less available for abiding in this knowledge. Nididhyasana or Mano Nigraha is learning to retrieve the mind from involuntary thoughts whenever I wish or what. Let the involuntary thoughts happen when I want, but not at other times. If the mind is not available because of thoughts centered on pancha anatimas, knowledge will not be available. There are two types of nididhyasana, as we know. So I want to comment a little bit about this. This whole thing about voluntary or deliberate and undeliberate thoughts, is a very nice topic. So most of what we think comes from our vasanas or comes from our subconscious, it appears. So we think when we contact the world, and we think when something from our subconscious mind pops in our mind. So some people say that most of our thoughts, special people who are very rajasic and all the time chatting, they are just, speaking their mind. We say speaking the mind, but meaning to say whatsoever appears in the conscious mind is verbalized. Those are involuntary, undeliberated thoughts. No? Most of our thoughts, I believe, comes from the causal body, causal mind, let's say. Of course, that the subconscious mind, when it is too overcrowded, it leaks more often than not into the conscious mind because it's too crowded, It just comes to the surface. That is, so to speak, the basement of the mind is the larger aspect of the mind. So it surfaces to our conscious mind, especially things that were suppressed for a long time, as we know. So a mind that is overcrowded with suppressed materials, mental, emotional materials, is going to be in trouble because she's going to become a chatting mind all the time. Okay. So the first thing is to understand that if we talk, we should be talking for the sake of thinking, studying the scriptures, or mentally, or if we have to verbally talk, we have to talk for the sake of communication. More than that, we are not talking, we are being talked. So having the mind hijacking our attention makes us feel like I am those thoughts. And some thoughts can be self-destructive. So we have to be very careful with giving our attention to thoughts. So the first thing is to purify the mind, that third or third obstacle that appears in the Bhagavad Gita, I think, or it was here in the Mandukya, yeah, of the mind that is flat, is apathic, is suppressed with conflicting things, you know. So we need to let it out. We need to invite those things out. The second thing is that involuntary thoughts is going to be still coming up, but I filter them. I don't bring them into verbal words, at least, you know. I just say, no, let's just talk that which is indeed necessary to be communicated. Huh? And then that would be another level of vigilance, I would say. But ultimately, what is going to allow us to have a peaceful, pacified mind, let's say, is to have a lot of mental impressions in our subconscious mind, which are spiritual, Vedantic, which are just aligned with the spiritual vision, the spiritual knowledge revealed by the scriptures. So when we start having a lot of those mental impressions in the mind, and then those mental impressions, they are not in conflict with your real nature, with reality, with the environment, with Ishvara. They are in harmony with everything. The mind becomes health because now the subconscious material is not conflicting with the environment and with the creator and its laws and principles. So the first thing is to occupy the subconscious mind with good vasanas. And then these involuntary thoughts, even if it soaks the mind, you know, to an extent that the mind is full with Vedantic vasanas, no? Those vasanas, they are not really necessarily being binding. They are there, okay, in the background. They are never going to be pressing you to talk about those things, no? So what I'm trying to point out here is the ultimate freedom comes from getting this self-knowledge well established in the subconscious mind, so that the knowledge is all the times available. And whatsoever involuntary or non-deliberate thoughts are good thoughts, Vedantic thoughts, thoughts about Ishvara, Brahman, myself as consciousness. So when you have a mind just, you know, naturally the material from the subconscious mind is leaking, but they are just materials that are going to further reinforce your certainty of self-knowledge, then we are really free. We are good. Right? So, but before that, we need to release some conflicting samskaras or vasanas or thoughts or energies. And before that, we need to filter those thoughts which are self-inflicting, self-limiting, self-destructive. And meanwhile, we're going to feed the subconscious mind with good thoughts so that involuntary thoughts may help me in the near future. Because ultimately, you need to have this knowledge there. If the causal body, causal mind, or subconscious mind is stuffed with knowledge, it sooner or later is going to come to the surface, and it's going to create trouble, you know, create trouble, and sometimes confusion, and sometimes doubt in the minds of the one who thought, oh, I have a hard and fast self-knowledge. No? There are two types of nididhyasana. No? As we know, one is during our transactions, we remember the teachings all the time, and we apply the teachings every time we see different kind of thoughts or actions or attitudes which are in contradiction with the knowledge which was revealed to me. So vigilance, application of knowledge, filtering those thoughts, you know, saying no to them, is awareness. My nature, I'm free, and I need to learn to objectify my thoughts through worldly transactions. This is difficult for most people because doing transactions, we are more distracted, let's say. But the other nididhyasana is easier. We just sit in meditation, and then whatsoever is there in our subconscious mind will come to the surface, and then we more vigilantly we can address it and apply the knowledge. Say, no, 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 no. I already told you. I'm not going to feed you on this one. I need you to think absolutely in line with what I have been teaching you lately. And one is auto-suggestion meditation, the other is introspection meditation, which I dwell on the teachings of identity. I am Satya, the word is Mithya, is the binary or binary format. As far as Mithya word is concerned, I can only be a contributor and I cannot be a controller. In the Gita, Lord Krishna says, this Mithya world, so I can only be a grateful contributor. You know, I'm grateful. It is a strange place to be, but I'm grateful. And I'm offering my actions and my attitudes with reverence and love for the opportunity, for the Creator. I know that it requires great sadhana to contribute properly, you know, dharmically at all times. And I just abandon, I just let go of any expectation of controlling my parabhada, the results of my offerings, you know. In Gita, Krishna says you have a choice over action, never over results. May you think you are the author of the results of actions. May you not think that you are author of the results of actions. May you not have inclination towards inaction either. This is a very important, beautiful verse. May you not think that you are the author of the results, and further down in the process, may you not think that you are alone the author of your thoughts and actions. You know, understand that ultimately all comes from me and resolves in me. Because the ego is that, okay, now I am the author of my Vedantic thoughts. I'm the, author of my Karma Yoga thoughts and attitudes. So the ego has to be addressed at all levels so that we do not develop a spiritual ego either. We have a relative choice over actions. We have a relative power over actions. Why? Because the vasanas are going to press us to act. So, and mistakes happen here and there. So I try my best. I have a relative power to act in harmony with the Dharma, in harmony with the teachings. Yeah. So sometimes I fail and I don't beat myself up because I understand the condition all jivas find themselves in. And furthermore, I never have really results, power over the results. I'm not the author of alone. I am not the author of the actions and much less the author of the results. At the same time, if things were altogether challenging, Lord Krishna says, and don't mistake and don't develop inclination towards inaction. It's beautiful. Very beautiful. That is the battle every human being finds themselves in. We do not have control over the mind, body, family, profession. I will contribute, offering my actions. The greatest blessing is that I am never affected by anything that happens in the mind, in this world, because in the Mithya physical body, the Mithya mind, I am free and independent because I am Turiya, I am Brahman, I am free, limitless conscious existence. The greatest blessing is to know that my true nature is never affected by the mind and by the world I experience through this mind. The greatest blessing is to know that I, in my true nature, I am never affected. By knowing that, the impact that the world has on the body and the mind is greatly minimized, not totally minimized. There is a degree of immunization, but it's not 100% immunization. Huh? And the scripture do not lie. Some people in the pharmaceutical industry, 96, 95% efficacy. No, Ishvara does not lie. You say you have a relative, how you say, immunization against the impacts, the adversities that you experience coming from the world through your mind. So what happens? I am not affected. This is called Nididhyasana or Nididhyasana Abhyasa, the binary model of Viveka. Gaudapada talked about 4 obstacles. We have seen here, Laya, dozing off during meditation, Vikshepa, wandering mind, Kasayan, subconscious problems, which makes the mind suppressed, stagnant, neither sleeping, nor wandering, nor meditating. It's a very, very funny mind. Getting attached to temporary calmness of meditation is the last obstacle. Is excess of sattva guna for someone who is not really wise enough to have that experience. And then the person gets stuck. Once these obstacles are crossed, one should abide in the teaching. This is the Nididhyasana. The central message of this entire chapter 3 is Ajati Vada. Is the theory presents by some of the Upanishads, and Gaudapada highlights this teaching, which is no origination, no creation theory, Vada. Then in this final 48th verse, Gaudapada reminds the central message that nothing has been originated, nothing has been created out of Brahman. Many things appear, but nothing had really been created or originated. I am more important than nothing, than everything else is, and I am that Brahman. No Jiva was born, no Jiva has no cause. Or if Jiva has a cause, it's ignorance, is avidya. This Brahman is the only truth in which nothing is born. This is the Ajatvada. This is the tough chapter, but if you assimilate this chapter, you will enjoy the beauty of this and the usefulness of this chapter 3. Okay, we leave it behind. Chapter 3, I love you, I love you, I love you. Chapter 4. It is a summary of the entire teachings of the Mandukya. It dealt with the main Vedanta teaching, Brahma Satya, Jagamitya, Jivu, Brahmaiva, Napara. Of this, the second chapter established the Jagamitya. The first chapter was just addressing the 3 jivas, experience the 3 worlds, and then the 4th principle, which is Turiya. The second chapter established the nature of Jagata, titled Vaita Tyaprakaranam. In the third chapter, establish the nature of Brahman. Okay, the true nature of Brahma, pointing out that Advaita Brahman alone is the only thing. And that Brahman, I am, has been revealed in the Mandukya Upanishad. Therefore, actually, the teaching part is over. Really speaking, honestly speaking, there is no scope for the fourth chapter of Mandukya Karika, but still in this chapter, Gaudapada consolidates all aspects of Vedanta teaching and winds up the teaching. We do not get anything new in the fourth chapter, but it is the reinforcement of the teaching given in the first three chapters, since he is bringing in all the different aspects. The chapter is the largest chapter with 100 verses. If you look at the content of the chapter, we can divide it into three parts. The first part is the elaboration of Ajativada theory, given in the third chapter. Existence of the world is to be negated. Origination of the world is to be negated. Appearance and experience of the world must be accepted. The appearance is because of a power of mind, or in other words, avidya. These four put together is called Ajativada. And in these 4 points, the second one is the most important, which says that nothing was ever created or originated. The theory of non-origination. In the second part, the Mithyatvam of the world is discussed. So this is a big one. So is this cosmos, this universe, is this world real or not real? There is a lot of philosophical discussions, and different schools of thoughts and philosophies are going to be brought. Nice examples such as the dream world, to further illustrate and present Gaudapada's theory, support. It appears very, very real, and therefore we accept the appearance of all experience in the dream world and the physical world. The appearance and experience of this world is without origination. We know in the dream there is no point from where the dream appears. It just flashes before ourselves. It appears and disappears as a flash, fraction of a second. And this is a projection. It is mithya projection. It's like a rope snake appears for me without ever being originated or created from the rope. Whenever something appears without origination or creation, it's called mithya. For example, blue sky, I was remembering that a month ago we had a rainbow here where we lived. There was something that I had never seen before. It went from one side to the other side of the horizon, but huge with layers. The strongest in the middle and then more going on like that. So where did it come from? I don't know. And where is it going? I did not know. We made some pictures, some videos. Everybody in town was like, wow, wow, wow. And the blue sky appears as well. And it's a mithya rainbow. It's a mithya blue sky. Things appear. They are never created. They are phenomenal. In the second part, Gaudapada emphasized the appearance and experience of the world as a mithya, which with an example unique to the Mandukya Karika, which is alatam. This example will be elaborated later. This example is so popular that the fourth chapter got the title Alatasanti Prakarana. This third part is the summarization of the entire Vedanta teachings, in which Atma is Svarupam, and the nature of the Atma. Yana, Atma Svarupa, Yana, Sadhana. So talks about the nature of the self the nature of the knowledge of the self, the nature of the sadhana to get jnana, and the nature of the fruits we gain from the jnana, atma jnana. So there are 4 levels, no? 4 or 3. These are the main 3 sections of the 3 sections of the 4th chapter. The 3rd part presents the 3 natures, the natures of the Atma, the nature of self-knowledge, the nature of sadhana, the nature of such self-knowledge, the nature of jnana-pada, the fruits of self-knowledge. I just remember, I wrote a satsang the other day in English in response to somebody who posted something in our group, Vedanta Brazil. I'm going to translate to English and share with you, because I broke down some statements of Ramana and Nisargadatta Maharaj in more or less on those lines. First one, I bow down to that Lord who knows the space like Jivas with his space like consciousness, which is not different from the object. So one of the aspects, characteristics of this verse on the 4th chapter, they are a bit more enigmatic. They are difficult to understand. And we're going to have to use the help of Swami Paramarthananda, who studies this, in the source of these texts, which were elaborated by Shankaracharya. I bow down to that Lord who knows the space like Jivas with his space-like consciousness, which is not different from the object. The first 2 verses, Mangala verse, in which Gaudapada offers prostration to the Adiguru Narayana, because we look upon Narayana or Bhagavan as the first Guru. The tradition flows from there, which continues up to now. This is our Sampradaya Parampara. So this is our well-known Guru Parampara verse opening the chapter. I bow down to the Lord, the first Guru, who knows the truth in regards to itself and the Jiva Atma, which is not different from the object. I don't remember the meaning of this object the Guru Parampara Narayana is Vishnu, is Brahma, Vashishta is the Manasa, Putra, Brahmana. Okay. Gaudapadacharya, Govinda, Adi Shankaracharya. His 4 well-known disciples are Suresh. Okay, he brings a little bit the lineage, okay, with the gurus and the teachers, and their gurus in the tradition. The entire lineage is bound down on this verse. Here, Gaudapada offers his prostrations to the Adiguru Narayana in the verse number 1. The second verse is also of the same nature, offering prostration to the very teaching, Brahma Vidya itself, as mother of Sarasvati. In this 4th chapter, there are several verses where the words and the construction of the words are a bit difficult, and it's difficult to explain every word of the verse, and the verse connection with one another is difficult as well, because it is involved because it is involved and difficult. If the individual word is concentrated upon, the whole concept will be missed. So we should not be fixated on some isolated words here and there. We have to try to understand the overall intended meaning of each one of these verses, and so on. Paramarthananda, I think he got it right, and he's going to help us. Therefore, the teaching will be concentrated upon without going into very single word by word details. Whenever difficult verses are encountered, we see this relatively easy verse, word by word analysis will be done. The first verse itself is a difficult one. I always find it difficult. So the essence of this verse will be giving. Who is Narayana? Narayana is called the greatest among the two-legged ones. Two-legged ones means the human jivas. So Purushanam is Narayana. This Narayana is the Adiguru of the teaching of this tradition. Which tradition? The one that established the identity between Jivatma and Paramatma. Since Narayana gives this knowledge, he also is endowed with this knowledge, otherwise he would not be able to give out this knowledge. How will Narayana express that knowledge? He will say that we, the Jivatma, are identical with Paramatma. But Narayana will say that he, the Paramatma, is identical to Jivatma. That's interesting. Huh? He's not saying the other way around. Jivatma, Paramatma, Aikya. He's saying that I, Paramatma, am identical to you guys. To that Narayana, who has the knowledge of this identity, I bow down to this Narayana. This is the first message of this verse. The second message is this knowledge of the identity between Jivatma and Paramatma is unique and different from all the conventional knowledge. In all conventional knowledge, there is the knower, the subject, and the known, the object, and the instrument of knowledge, like the mind and the sense. Thus, subject, object, instrument, triad is there. Subject, object, and instrument triad is there. Okay, you have the knowledge, the known, and the knower. So this triad is there, is present in all conventional knowledge. The subject, object duality is present there. In all conventional knowledge, knower and known are different. But in this Upanishad knowledge of identity, there is no difference between Jivatma, the knower, and Paramatma, the known. This division is not there for Narayana also. Therefore, Narayana does not have knower-known division. Because there is no division between Jivatma and Paramatma, and there is one Ekatma, it is like space. That's why he brought the space like Jiva Atma consciousness and space like Paramatma consciousness. There is no division. The division of the pot space was already destroyed by the previous verse. The space does not have a real division, but only seeming division like pot space, room space, etc. Both Paramatma and Jivatma are not divided, are divisionless like space. Appears to have a seeming division. So that Paramatma, Narayana, who is endowed with the self-knowledge or the knowledge of identity with only seeming division, illustrations are offered. This is the essence of the first verse. The word Dharma occurring in the verse refers to Jivatma. The words used in this verse are rare, abstruse words, and the essence and the sentence and grammatical constructions are all too peculiar. What is abstruse? Confused?
Obtuse is kind of, yeah, like confused or, weird.
Yeah, not clear, I would say.
Okay. Many verses are undecipherable, but Shankaracharya's comments helps us here. For difficult verse, only the sense will be given. Even our great hero, Swami Paramarthananda, finds it difficult sometimes to understand this verse. We are not alone. The verse number 2. A parse yoga is indeed enjoyable to all beings, beneficial to all, is disputeless, no contradictory, and revealed by the Upanishad scriptures. I bow down to this Aparsa yoga. So, what is Aparsa yoga?
It's relationless yoga.
Yeah.
It's another word for asanga.
Yeah, good. Brahma Vidya teaching is known by the name of Aparsa Yoga, which word was introduced in the 3rd chapter. This word was already introduced in the chapter. In verse 39, Gaudapada introduced the word Aparsa means Atma. Atma Yoga. Turiya Atma is called Aparsa, which is called, why is it called Aparsa? The word Aparsa means Atsanga, no contact, no connection. Therefore, we have that expression that Vedanta is the yoga of no contact, no connection. You remember? Yeah. Why is the Atma called Asanga or Parsa? Atma being Satyam and Anatma being Mithya. Satya and Mithya cannot come in contact, just as the mirage water never contacts and wets the ground. So simple, huh? When we look at these teachings with the help of analogies, it's so simple, huh? Even though water is experienced on the ground of the sand, of the desert sand, or the mirage water cannot wet the ground because one is real and the other is unreal. Only the sand is real. So the unreal cannot contaminate the real, cannot impact the real. The move project on the screen does not affect the screen. The dream rain cannot make your bed wet. So beautiful. Atma being Satyam is never associated with anything that happens in the 3 states or any other realm of experience. Aparsa Yoga means Atsanga Atmayana, the yoga of no association. Yoga here means Yana Yoga. Even though this Atmayana appears difficult initially, it is worth the trouble because it's liberating knowledge that goes to this knowledge. Indeed, this yoga is indeed enjoyable to all beings and beneficial to all. So it's enjoyable if the person is qualified and highly beneficial. Let's say if Shankaracharya is going to say something in those lines. Even though it's difficult in the beginning, it's worth the trouble because it is very enjoyable and liberating. Therefore, he says that Aspasa yoga is pleasant, enjoyable, and beneficial for all types of human beings, irrespective of gender, creed, religion, and nationality. Another glory of this knowledge is that it's never subject to debate because there is no quarrel for Advaita with all other systems, because all other systems are talking about the reality obtained in the awakening state. Now we start talking about one of the topics of this fourth chapter, is to prove the reason Vedanta never debates with the other schools, although I was told that Shankaracharya debates a lot, but overall there is no debate. And Swami Paramarthananda states that Vedanta accepts and even agrees with most of these other philosophies, because they agree from standing from where their propagators stand. They say, no, you are right. From that perspective, you are right. But from any Mithya perspective, any one of these philosophies are going to make some sense. And you can fight with the others because you are standing in Mithya. I stand in Satya, therefore we cannot have a debate with you. And we respect all these other philosophies or school of thoughts. And we even find them amazing, entertaining, and sophisticated sometimes. They are all analyzing conditional reality obtained in the relative world within duality. Vedanta is not analyzing the relative truth but the absolute truth. As far as the relative truth is concerned, these people are giving different opinions and schools of thoughts, philosophies. Vedanta does not contradict them because their opinions are from different standpoints. Every system like Shankya, Nyaya, or Vaisheshika are empirically correct from the transactional plane, like different magical systems. They stand correctly from their perspective. In the transactional plane, truth is relative. That's very nice. All can be viewed as a wall, can be viewed as a wall, can be viewed as bricks arranged vertically, as mud, as molecules, or in atoms. These are all correct views, perspectives from different standpoints. Oh, you say, oh, I am in this and this state, but from a different perspective, I am in the United States of America, and so on. In the empirical plane, the truth is relative. Vedanta is not interested in joining this debate because all are right from their own standpoints, but all are wrong also from the other standpoints. Therefore, there is debate and discussions, quarrels all over the place. Vedanta is not interested in debating about relative truths. It's so clear. I mean, as years go by and I talk to certain people that are not my student, but they believe themselves to be spiritual people and even teachers. But they stand on the superficial level, of something that they believe to be spiritual. And they may have even, in some case, they have a good point here, a good point in there, but it's all superficial, it's all relative. It's never really relevant, you understand? But how to bring people to have a conversation around something that is really relevant and to the point and liberating, we need to go and have discussions about the true nature of reality. Vedanta is not interested in the debate about relative truth, which these people all around are analyzing, discussing, because relative truth does not give liberation. what are relative truths? Truths in regards to the phenomenal world, meteor world, on a physical level, on the subtle level, on the different locus levels or interdimensional level. All of this is just relative truth. The absolute truth is you, consciousness. Everything is happening within you as consciousness. And nobody's interested in have that kind of conversation. And we see the relative views or perspectives. They make they end up having debates and discussions. None of that will give liberation, but people are caught up into those relative assessments. The dream world is relatively true, and so on. So we're going to stop here. We could see that this fourth chapter is not going to be a waste of time, because it's beautiful as well in its own way. A certain time, a certain moment, it becomes a little bit too technical, too philosophical, but then halfway with it, it becomes beautiful, 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 pure joy. Okie dokie. Anything from you guys?
I'm very excited about starting this fourth chapter because it's one I had real difficulty with, as you say. It can get weird. So I'm looking forward to your explication of everything.
We're going to do it together. So we meet again tomorrow with this text. I will read, because today I end up not reading it. I will prep a little bit. And we see us tomorrow. Namaste. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Namaste. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks, Arlindo. Goodbye now.
Thank you.